Okay, hello world, is anyone there? For those who don't understand English, I have bad news because I'm going to speak English. If someone can just tell me or write me that he can hear me, that would be great. Otherwise, I guess I will give people a few minutes to get connected. Also, it would be great if you could tell me if you can hear me through the music or if it's too loud or whatever. Hello? I see I'm getting a few more people on. Can someone tell me if you can hear me and if you can hear me through the music? Ideally through the chat. Okay. I will try to get music to work. Is this any better? Or any worse? Okay, perfect. I see that we are having a few people here already. So let's get this started. My name is Farsi Photo or Farkrish's Photography. I guess that you probably may have seen my work around. And the point of this stream is to show you the basics of what I do when working with photos. It's not going to contain any advanced concepts. Ideal audience is somebody who wants to see how I'm thinking about editing, or people who are afraid of Lightroom because it's like a scary thing. And oh, yeah, that's flattering. I definitely love people who use my pictures to decorate their walls. So anyway, I'm going to show you the basics of working with Lightroom. If you already know how to work with it, okay, I'm getting a message that the music is too loud now. I will put it like this and I will leave it like this. At the very worst, you will have it without music. I'm going to show the basics of working with Lightroom, and well, basically that's it. I'm going to show you how to sort through photos because I've had a short photo shoot today, and I think that sorting photos is one of the things that a lot of beginner photographers are completely missing, and it's a great shame for many reasons. I will get to it. But first and foremost, I've got some photos from friends, from my patrons, and I wanted to show you what I would do with them. I haven't prepared anything. I'm just going to see what I can do with them, and I will tell you what I think about them in general. And well, you will see. I will see if I can get myself any louder. But considering I've got several loud and clear, I guess it may be a problem on your end, Draket, or maybe try just upping the volume a little. So this is a picture from Eurofluence, I guess. I recognize the bridge. Really very good looking fursuit. The picture is by Draketo, so I wouldn't have to worry about sharpness of the eyes. That's the first thing I'm checking. Most pictures that don't have sharp eyes are going straight to the waste bin in my case. Yeah, it's very tightly cropped. I guess Draketo was trying to avoid people around. He was just wanted to focus on this particular fursuiter. And my main worry about the picture is the bright white sky, which is drawing a lot of attention. the first spot where I'm looking is the sky, not the fursuit, which is a shame. I'm not sure if I can do much about it, but the first thing I'm going to do with any photo, maybe past cropping, but there is nothing to crop here, are these basic controls. This is too bright, so I'm going to see if I can recover any details there. As you can see, it didn't really help much. Photographing against brightly lit sky just does this. It's not always possible to do anything about it. It recovered a little bit of some bushes here or whatever it was. You can also see that it kinda darkened the rest of the picture. So what can we do to get the fursuiter more in the center of attention? I'm going to see if I can darken the surroundings. To do that, I'm going to use a tool which is called radial filter. Radial filter is basically the same thing you could do with a brush. That is, with a brush you can apply certain settings only on a part of the picture. Like you see that this has been darkened and the rest of the picture is not. How do I get rid of this? This way. A radial filter is doing the same thing for you, with the difference that it creates a shape that is either affected or unaffected. If you want to see what it's specifically doing, here's a checkbox called Show Selected Mask Overlay, and it shows us that the red area is going to be affected. I'm going to darken it a little bit. Here's a slider called Exposure, which controls exposure. It's an artificial way to reduce or increase the amount of light that the picture is getting. I'm not sure how far should I go, so I'm just going to try. There's no list of correct edits. In general, editing is not an exact science. It's a matter of trying what fits your likes. Some edits can be really crazy. My editing is usually kinda, let's say, realistic, even not very artistic, but realistic looking. So I could go like this. We are having the correction in focus, but it looks neither realistic nor very good. So I'm going to see how much darkness I can add while still maintaining at least a basically good look of the picture. Now the bottom of the fursuit is very dark, which is not entirely what I want. So let's change the shape. As you can see, there are anchor points which you can use to change the shape of the filter, and I think I'm kind of happy about this. It's darkened a lot. Previously there was very little visible in his hair, which is a pity. There is a very nice counterlight here which is framing him. I think this is better because you can see the individual hair. It's no longer just a shiny mess. Second thing I'm going to do is brighten his eyes. In the brush, I'm going to select an already existing effect which is called Iris Enhance. Thank you, Warniak. And what it does is brighten the iris and make it more colorful. It adds to saturation. It makes the colors more vibrant, and it brightens the eye a lot, so they start popping out of the picture. I sometimes add a little bit here, so now you can see they are kind of shining. Before and after. I'm not sure if this is, yeah. And maybe, well, it's still a little bit dark. This is the same exposure setting I was using to darken the rest of the picture. And I'm now using it to brighten the picture as a whole. Let's see what can we do about contrast. I've already used highlights. Highlights are control which controls very bright areas of the picture. So by going -100, I've made the extremely bright areas like the sky a lot darker. Now I'm going to use shadows. Shadows are controlling not very dark but dark areas of the picture. So you can see that he's getting a lot brighter. Well, that's a lot. I'm usually not going to this high numbers, but I'm actually not looking at the slider. What I'm doing is looking at the photo and just sliding till I like the results. He's no longer as dark as he was before. Whites are controlling not the super bright areas, but the second brightest. So it will pop out the bright areas, but not the sky. And blacks are controlling the darkest part of the area of the image. So as you can see, it's darkening these parts. I don't want to overdo it. I think that that when it comes to the basic controls, I'm more or less done here. I will constantly keep checking the before and after looks, because that's the only way to see how much I'm changing the image and to decide if maybe I'm going too far, if the picture is looking very unrealistic. So far I'm feeling kinda good about this. Next thing, I'm using clarity on most pictures, pretty much on all, and I'm usually adding +15. As you can see, you can't see any effect. This is remarkably subtle. It adds a bit of local contrast. My suggestion is just do it at +15 and you will see it looks good. If you go too far, it looks kind of cool but very artificial. So if you want really very grungy sort of picture, you can go all the way up, but whenever you post anything like this on any photo forum, everybody is going to scream that you've overused clarity. So my suggestion, use it in moderation, but you can do anything you like. I'm also often using dehaze, which is meant for removing fog. Well, if you are having a foggy picture and you want it to pop out, or it doesn't have to be foggy, it can be kind of screen created by direct sun shining into the lens, then dehaze is going to remove it. It generally darkens the picture and adds a bit of contrast again. It's getting too dark for my taste, so I'm going to lighten it a little bit. And white balance. White balance serves to how to explain it briefly. The camera is not able to adjust the white color to white color. When you are looking on a wall and you are having like a candle shining on it, you can still tell the wall is white. Camera can't. Camera just sees the reflection of yellow candle, so everything is going to be yellow. White balance are these two sliders at the top, and in my opinion, the balance here is perfectly fine. I'm just going to see what happens if I move to either direction. If I go in this direction, everything is going to get very blue, and because he's very orange, he's losing the strong saturated orange color. And if I go further towards yellow, he gets, well, now he looks like an orange or tangerine, which isn't really what I like. So by double clicking on the name of the slider, you can reset it to the original position, which is exactly what I've done. I'm not going to do anything with white balance here because I like it the way it is. And finally, two sliders that are worth playing with are vibrance and saturation. They are basically both doing the same thing. The difference is saturation is doing it evenly all over the image. You can see that everything is getting brighter, or maximum desaturation removes all colors. Vibrance is doing the same thing, but it's trying to selectively add color to areas which are really colorful and less so to areas which are not, and vice versa. If you go in the opposite direction, the really colorful areas still remain colorful, and those that have not been very bright or not very saturated originally become desaturated. This is kind of interesting. I like the way that his eyes are popping out of the head, but he looks like he rolled in ash, which is not really what I had in mind. For my taste, to be honest, the picture is a little oversaturated now, which is partially an effect of the post-processing, because as you can see, originally he was not this saturated. Now that I've brightened him and done a lot of other things, I think that the haze and clarity may have something to do with it. He became very, very orange. We could mend this locally, just reducing the orange color. I will maybe show later how to do that, but I will just use vibrance and reduce it a little bit, because it's a realistic suit, so he isn't supposed to look this super ultra bright orange. I think this is a result I'm kind of fond of. So this is before, with blown top and rather dark fursuiter, and this is after, with a lot more vibrant, much brighter fursuiter popping out of the picture. As for the sky, not Facebook, Photoshop now has a feature that can replace sky, so we could technically put some blue sky there and it will look good. If you don't want to replace it in Photoshop, I recommend trying to avoid photographing against bright sky in the middle of the day. This is obviously taken in very direct sun behind the fursuiter. One thing you could do is put the camera higher, so that you would have the bridge behind him instead of the sky. But I have to say that the photo looks very good to me, even the way it is. So don't rely on rules too much. There's nothing wrong with breaking the rules or not making things absolutely perfect. I will be very happy if you send me some comments regarding the results. How do you like them? What might you like differently into the chat? And in the meantime, I will move to next picture. I will try to go a little briefer about it, because for one I'm going to be doing a very similar thing, and for another this has taken a lot longer than I expected. My first dream, no time management. Same problem as before. Wonderful bright sun behind him, but it's so wonderfully bright that it's overblowing the picture. So I'm going to do basically the same kind of doctoring. I will try something which really isn't going to work, because this is so white that there is nothing to recover. But this is another tool that I can show you. It's called graduated filter. It simulates an effect of a physical filter that you can put on your lens, and I'm going to see if I can darken the sky a little bit, and the result is not really. Okay, I've tried. Not everything you try is going to work. Ooh, it's going to work. So let's see what I can do. Really the same thing. I'm going to darken everything around him. Thank you for Zero Fox and Warniak. Well, I don't understand your question. What about the light giving the fur an outline? It looks great, but what should I do about it? The difference between normal Photoshop and Lightroom is that it's two completely different programs, different software. Lightroom is generally much more affordable. It's perfect for quick changes like the sort of editing I'm doing, and I very much recommend it for beginners. because it will allow you to do basic edits. It's really easy to learn, in my opinion. You have seen that I haven't really spent much time on one picture, and I'm talking all the time. If I was just working, it would be even faster. Photoshop is a heavy-duty software that is aimed for graphic professionals, that has advanced capabilities regarding retouching your photo. It allows you to do stuff such as artificially replace sky with very little input from the user. It does a lot via artificial intelligence or program learning. It's much more expensive if you want to pay for it, and it's much more difficult to handle and to learn. So I may be doing a stream about Photoshop at some point, but for one, I'm not really an expert on Photoshop myself, and for another, it's not really a beginner stuff. I'm saying that Lightroom is much better for novices. Okay, I hope that answers to Ultra Wild Dog. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to ask them. And as for Wurniak, you were wondering if that's a problem like the sky or not. Absolutely not. The counterlight, the outline that it creates, well, the question whether something is a problem can be very easily answered by asking yourself, do you like it or do you find it a problem? In my opinion, it looks absolutely great. I'm really super happy about the outline, and it's the main reason I really like the picture. One thing I can tell you though is if you manage to find black background or dark background, it's going to look a lot better, because as you can see, here's wonderful bright outline in the fur, and here it suddenly disappears. And it doesn't disappear, it actually is there. Oh, okay. This is these are artifacts which are created by Lightroom trying to recover some data from the super white area, and it's recovered something not very good looking. But what I wanted to show is that the light fur is here as well, but it's not visible because everything around it is also bright white, so you can't see it. But in my opinion, this kind of outline is something you should strive for because it's looking great. It helps you to separate the picture from background. It's sort of advanced technique which people are going to be surprised by because they don't know how to do it. So definitely learn how to do this. Maybe I will make a stream about it at some point, and it's definitely not a mistake, on the contrary. So back to this one, I'm going to see what I can do really fast. It's definitely more difficult than the previous one because there's a lot of overblown area here. I'm going to try to use some local adjustments, basically just paint him brighter. We are going to pretend this is intentionally a high key picture. Hero standing in front of rising sun looks great, except it works a lot better when it's setting sun. You will notice that in movies people are always riding out into setting sun because you can see something. It doesn't overblow them in this manner. I know the area, I know how difficult it is to photograph there, so well, sometimes you just have to do what you can do, but to be entirely honest, what I would probably do with this picture is just get rid of it. I probably wouldn't publish this because the amount of light here is so big, it's no longer looking epic to me, more like just bad shot. But on the other hand, I'm pretty sure that if you give it to the fursuiter, he's going to be excited, because fursuiters are excited about everything. I myself am very happy about getting pictures of Drumbor from phones, because hey, it's me, it's Drumbor. I want Drumbor. I will move on. I think that out of these two pictures, these are the edits I've done. It's very similar kind of editing that I've done for this one, and the result is also very similar. I've brightened the character. It was very dark originally. I've recovered some colors and some contrast from this, and that's basically it. Let's move on. Pause, of course. So this is from a hotel room. I love hotel rooms. I love this kind of lighting. It's surprisingly difficult to create something like this. You have to have, yeah, pause, exactly. I know that you are going to be excited. You have to have external lights to create light patterns like this, and it's been great. Main problem with the picture is that I can hardly see the fursuiter. It's very black. It's again pinpoint sharp. Perfect work with sharpening the eyes. Let's see what I can do. So first thing, I'm going to add a little color to shadows. Let's see how far I can go. This is probably too much, because now he looks like he's gray instead of being black. But I think I like something like this. We will counter this by using this black slider, which will make him black again. And now he looks like he's black with some silver hair, which is exactly what I like, because originally he was just a black hole. Now you can see that he's a furry black hole. If you are going to have a black fursuit or white fursuit, every photographer is going to hate you. A word of warning. So this is maybe a little bit too bright after the corrections. I'm going to locally darken it again using the brush, local brush. So after the first change, we have managed to make him a little bit more furry looking. I will see if there is any space for adding whites. Honestly, not too much. So always worth seeing what you can recover, but there is nothing meaningful to recover here. I'm going to use my magic 15 clarity, my magic 15 dehaze. This is interesting. This is something I wanted to do. I have no idea why it's doing that. I will avoid it. But one thing that I really like is contrast between yellow and blue, and these lights are very yellow. So let's see what happens if I shift the white balance a little bit towards blue. It's not necessarily realistic. As you can see, we are getting some kind of blue tint to the surrounding area, but it creates a contrast between slightly bluish bed sheets and walls and very yellow light patterns behind the suitor, while it hardly affects the suitor himself, as you can see. And I like it this way. I think it creates a very interesting kind of contrast. Let's compare the original and the result. I'm wondering if there's anything else I could do. I tend to undersaturate my pictures, so let's see what happens if I... it's definitely too much, but if I add, say, 20 vibrance, nothing much happens. This is, in my opinion, this is too much. But in my experience, a lot of people are fond of this kind of postcardish, very vibrant colors, so maybe let's leave it like this. I will see if I can crop it a little bit without destroying the image. I want to avoid cropping of the tail, and I want to avoid cropping of the corner here, because it would be very visible that it's missing like this. This is kind of disturbing when a bit of picture is gone. It's a very subtle change, but in my opinion there is way too much space here, so why not crop it off very subtly. And this is it. This is before, this is after. Let's see about this one. What's the time? We've spent about half an hour. Yeah, you are friends again. I guess the sun has set, because not set, but it's behind the clouds. You can see that there is no bright aura, like nothing like this. But on the other hand, there's also not this super overblown sky through which you can't see anything. So again, let's see if I can recover something. There is even a bit of sky, some clouds here. When I do it like this, it also affects the rest of the photo, and I wouldn't say it's exactly flattering. So I'm going to use local edit again, using the brush, putting highlights to like -50. And I'm going to see what I can recover. You can see that I've got a bit of the rail back. I've recovered something I definitely didn't want to recover. I think this is a street lamp. And I've also made the rail dirty. You can see that the darkening created kind of grayish streak here. Hello exec. And to see where I have used it, I can again use show selected mask overlay. This will show you where you have used the brush. And if you want to get rid of it, you hold down the Alt key, and you can see that the cursor changes from plus to minus. And if you just slide the minus over the affected area, it will remove the edit. So as you can see, I've got rid of the grayish streak, which didn't really work very well there. If anybody is interested about details of how to work with the adjustment brush, please leave me a message in the chat, and I will explain more. But for now, I think this is sufficient, and I will continue with the overall picture. Same problem as previously. It's very dark, but it will be very easy to recover using the shadows. Suddenly we can see a lot more far. I think that here white is going to do something. Oh, not really. Not what I hoped. Let's brighten it in general. I'm again going to use the circular filter with burn. That means removing the exposure. And this is something, this is kind of a trick of trade I'm going to teach you. I'm doing this with almost every picture. It should be done subtly, but if you don't overdo it, I think this is already too much, but let's go for -0.5 or sometimes even -0.3 is enough. It will make the main character pop out of the photo, because you will see that the surroundings have darkened, and the surroundings, which are not really all that important, are now not so bright, and it's not drawing the eye, while the character remains unaffected, and so he's now brighter and he pops out of the photo. I will add a little bit of black, which basically adds the contrast. You may notice that I'm not using the contrast slider. I could use it definitely. I'm not using it because I'm simulating its effect using black and white. Black is going to make me the dark is going to be darker, and white is making the bright areas even brighter. That's the same thing that the contrast does. but I have control about what parts of the picture I'm controlling, because contrast just pulls it in both directions. White is whiter, black is blacker, and sometimes the middle point is just at different spot. You want dark parts to be darker, but you don't want to brighten the white parts, and vice versa. I will ask you for a little bit of time to get myself some tea, because I started brewing tea and of course I forgot to let it infusing, and I will get a drink. In the meantime, if you have any questions about anything I've mentioned so far, or basically about anything at all, please write them into the chat and I will be back in half a minute. Note to self, I should get some kind of mute button for my microphone. Okay, so I'm back. Let's see what clarity does in this case. Very subtly adds to the contrast. I will see about the haze. It generally darkens the picture, which in this case is pretty good. Were there any cases when you felt the source wasn't good enough as an image quality touch in post? When it comes to pictures I'm processing for myself, I throw away everything that is not good enough, and I throw away approximately 90 to 95% of what I photograph. So this is I think this is the answer. I throw away a lot of what I do, of what I make, because when you're photographing, the great thing about digital photography is you can experiment a lot. You can make a lot of bad pictures without having to worry about ruining the film. And I recommend making stupid things, doing stupid things. My personal experience is I often went photographing with my mom. I was teaching her to photograph, and she would sometimes see something and she would go like, I want to photograph this. And I ensured her that it's a waste of time. It's not going to work. It's absolutely stupid. I have these reasons to think so. I have experience. I'm telling her that she's wasting time. No, she would just do it. Then she shows me the result at home and it's wonderful. And I'm really sorry about not taking the picture myself. So I definitely recommend trying out things, trying out stupid things which might work, might not, and throwing out everything that doesn't work. That's the important part. These two things work only when you do both of that. Experiment, make stupid mistakes, make stupid ideas, or take stupid photos. But if they don't work out, and a lot of them won't work out, throw them away. Don't show them to anyone. They are perfectly fine in a waste bin. So back to the photo. I wanted to do something and I forgot what. Yeah, make mistakes, learn from them, but be always ready to make them again. Don't be afraid of mistakes and don't be afraid of stupid ideas. I'm a serious person. I'm very worried about doing everything right, and I sometimes am afraid of making a stupid picture, because like people are going to look at me and think, what a moron, how can he be taking a picture like this? It's obviously a waste of time. And it's not a good strategy, because you are going to miss pictures which could have been great if you tried. So don't be afraid to make foolish mistakes, and not just learn from them, but enjoy doing them and enjoy throwing them away if they don't work. Their fursuit is there at the time a photographer tries to take the best picture possible. Sorry, Draketo, can you rephrase that? I'm not sure if I understand you. I will continue with this one. I think this picture has a bluish tint. It's caused by the fact that the sun is behind the clouds, and because of that everything is a little bit blue. So let's see what happens if I shift it. And by the way, sorry, I'm an idiot. Yay! If you are using a software that is altering your white balance, such as Flux, which is removing the blue tones from pictures you are from your screen, be sure to turn it off before you start editing pictures. So don't be like me. I will see what I've done with the previous pictures. This is pretty blue now. But yeah, not too bad. It happened to me several times, and there is nothing like when you finish editing pictures after an hour of editing, and then you realize that you had Flux or something similar on, and everything is looking different from what you expect. So anyway, let's see what happens if I shift it a little bit to the yellowish tones. I think I like it much better this way. Original and the yellowed one. Maybe it's a bit too much. I will go a bit back. Yeah, I like it this way. A recommendation: before you are photographing a fursuiter, remove a badge. I could retouch it off, but it would take me a while, so maybe some other time, and you will save yourself a lot of work if you just ask him to put it under the fursuit. Yes, I see. I've just understood what Draketo means. Like I said, I know exactly how difficult it is to take photos there, and yeah, you just have to do what you can, the best you can. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I've said that I'm not going to use Photoshop, but I'm being asked why remove the badge. I will try to remove the badge. And you will see hopefully why I would remove it, because it's an object that is disturbing the photo. It's unnecessary there. It's something extra that you don't really need there nor want there. I'm going to make very crude edit. I would have normally taken much longer to do this, and be much more careful. That's the point. Not just longer, but better. So you can see Photoshop has pretty powerful tools for retouching, and sometimes when you are lucky, it certainly doesn't always work like this, but when you are lucky, it sometimes does it mostly for you. In my opinion, this is just visually distracting thing, and I like the fursuiter much better without the badge, because then it's just fursuit. Unless he's super proud of it, then by all means leave it on him. So that was a short trip to Photoshop and back to the original photo. I think that in this case it might be worth adding a bit of saturation. It's not really something I would normally do. Oh yeah, actually it's use him. And one little thing, I would normally do this in Photoshop because it's, as you could have seen, much better in it, but let's see. The thing that I've just used is called spot removal, and it's originally meant to remove spots as like dust particles on your chip, but it can be used for basic retouching. So I've removed the lamp because I just don't like when things are sticking out of the fursuiter. So this is before, this is after. Draketo, I apologize if I made you feel like I'm criticizing the your work. I really didn't mean to. I perfectly understand you, and I absolutely agree. You have to do the best you can do with the situation. I have a lot of pictures like this when I just couldn't choose the spot, couldn't choose the light, and you're absolutely right. I very much respect your work, and I don't think there is anything wrong with it. I was just trying to offer suggestions because in case of this picture, for example, I think you could have lifted the camera, but at the heat of the moment, it's not easy. It's much easier to give this kind of suggestions when I'm sitting in my comfortable armchair and looking at the picture in post than when you are standing there. So please, if I've like made you feel like I don't like your work, it's not the case. Sorry about that. Question from exec: how often do you not have to touch a photo? When I made a lot of pictures of during Halloween 19 in Prague, I initially had to discard half of the photos, but basically none of them were improvable in post because of my phone's limits. I never publish a picture that would not be edited. I'm editing all of my photos, but when I'm not speaking while I'm working, sometimes the photo can take like a minute, so it's not taking very long time. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it can take several minutes. I'm throwing out a lot of pictures. I've mentioned that 90 to 95% of pictures I take are thrown away, and if you take a lot of pictures, you have to sort them. I will show that in a moment. So I think this is actually the resulting photo. I don't see anything that should be adjusted. I might be tempted to do stuff like remove this thing because it's weird and it offends me, but I'm not going to do it now. So once again, before and after. This one, wow, what should I do with it? Yeah, this is a tricky kind of shot. It's a very close portrait, white sky, the same problem I've already mentioned, and it's poorly focused. The problem of cameras is they really absolutely love this rim of the eye, so they focus there instead of the eye itself. Yeah, okay. I'm glad that you are not offended because it was really the last thing I wanted to do. I will see how fast I can edit this when I'm not focusing on details. So for a large part this is it. Iris Enhance can almost always improve the feeling you get from the eyes. So I'm going to use it here, make them pop up a little bit. There is strong tint inside the eyes, which is caused by reflected fur, I guess. Reflected light from the fur. I could remove it. I'm not sure if it's going to help. Okay. And I will once again use the radial filter. So this is before and after. It was a very quickly done edit. Which I think I may want to remove. This is my perfectionism showing. I'm just really annoyed by the yellow green color. The simplest thing you can do with this is reduce its saturation, and it will just fade to kinda less into either white or gray. Yeah, I like it better this way. So this is before, after. The main change I've done was popping up the eyes. Exec is asking, would it be a bad idea to defocus or blur the eyes to not make the grid visible? It's an interesting question. I don't think it is going to work because the problem is that the eyes are the thing that you are immediately looking into. The first thing you notice are eyes, so they should always be in focus, and if you try to defocus it, ooh, what happened? Hopefully nothing. Then you will get rid of the grid. But it just looks like a smudge now. And if you look into smudgy eye, in my opinion, it's just not looking very good. So I would definitely not recommend this kind of thing. The grid is part of fursuit aesthetics, and I'm actually very carefully checking if I see the grid, because if it's very clearly visible, it means that it's correctly focused. It doesn't just look unrealistic, it looks bad, because by unfocusing the eye, you're actually doing exactly that. You are simulating a situation when you have missed the focus. And eye is really something that is, in 95% of cases, you want the eye to be in focus, because it's the first thing that people are going to look into. And surprisingly, you will see very clearly when you have just very slightly missed the focus. People that will look at it will see that something is odd, that something is not perfect. Even if they are not able to tell you what, and if you show them a picture which is in focus and have them directly compare it with the unfocused one, they are going to notice it and they are going to tell you that it's better, even though they won't be able to tell you why. I will quickly look at the remaining two pictures. This was, I don't know who gave me this, but it's cruel because it's absolutely a different kind of photography that I have any experience with. So I will just see what I can do with this. I think I would basically just add some contrast. I guess it looks a little better. I will see what I can do with this. And you can make it bluer if you like. I have no idea how astrophotography works. I would really crop away the leaves. But other than that, this is about what I can do with astrophotography. I have no idea how it works. And this one, well, it's very blue. I suppose it's kind of supposed to be very blue. We can try what happens if I shift it all the way to the right. It becomes very green. The picture is dark. I can brighten it a little bit. But to be honest, I'm not sure if it really makes much sense to change this a lot, because the picture has characteristics of a very dark picture in a weirdly colored situation, and it's not necessary to try to make it realistic. What I can do is add a bit of that artificial vignetting by darkening the surroundings. I can maybe see if this makes it. No, it's just make it green. No point. I could compensate for the green like this. Yeah, I've managed to produce more or less realistic looking picture, but it's not really very. I don't think it's really worth it. Maybe some sort of unique atmosphere should be maintained. So maybe I would do something like this with it. Originally it was really very blue. A good thing about this variant is it created some kind of contrasts. I like the red contrasting with the green in the background, but I would need to see the original scene to be able to be able to say what I've really produced, because maybe it was meant to be super blue, and in that case changing it like this would make it very weird. Exact. Doesn't pushing the sliders too much make it feel fake to you, not unrealistic, but like I didn't make this. Uh, Actually, no. I only find it fake when it's fake, when it's looking fake. It will typically start looking fake when you overdo an edit. If you go too far with, say, brightening a subject, if I darken everything and just have the main, I can see the anchor points, and just make the main subject pop up and maybe brighten him a little bit so that he looks even more eye-catching, then this starts looking weird, because he's too bright for the rest of the picture. It's obvious that it was tampered with. But just because the raw is looking one way doesn't necessarily mean that pulling the sliders, and even very extreme pulling of the sliders, is going to be making it not real. Imagine a situation when you severely underexpose a photo. If you just set the exposition values incorrectly, and the photo is too dark, you are going to recover it by pushing the exposure slider to the right. And actually what you are doing is you are just compensating for unrealistic picture, because it's unrealistically dark, so you are brightening it. Don't be afraid of very extreme changes to the picture. It's something I won't be able to teach you because I'm not doing it, but I just know people that would go to real extremes. They would really, this is looking weird, but they might make something like this, and I don't like it. It's not my style of editing, but if you like it this way, why not? Brighten it a little bit. Well, maybe If somebody likes it, this is perfectly fine. So, we've been here for an hour. I meant to show you. Yeah, it looks kind of like shitty HDR. On the other hand, if you look at modern photography, I mean like artistic modern photography, something I don't understand at all. I'm not an artist, I'm a craftsman. You will see that they are very often using extremely unrealistic edits, or maybe it's not edits, maybe it's just a way of lighting it, or the settings, or maybe it's edit, and it's internationally recognized art, and it's looking weird, but they have a reason why they wanted to look it that way. There is no rule that says that photography should be realistic. It should just be expressing something you wanted to express. Because if you look at paintings, they are also not necessarily realistic. They are often very unrealistic. So this is something to state, that there is no right way to edit a photo, and just because people are telling you that you are doing it wrong, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are, if you like the results. Just listen to what they are saying, because they may be right. They may show you the right way, but the very fact that somebody says this is wrong, you should not be doing it like this, doesn't mean that you shouldn't. And by the way, several years ago I was putting frames on my pictures, and people were like, those frames are super ugly and we hate that and you shouldn't do it. And I was very strongly opposing them and fighting this idea and saying, I love the frames, they are looking awesome and I'm going to use them. And then a few years later I've realized that they are looking really super ugly. Change of opinion. I'm not using them since then, but there is nothing wrong with using frames if you like them at the given moment. Okay, we've been here over an hour. I wanted to show you how to sort pictures, but it's going to take a minimum of half an hour more. Could I get some opinions into the chat if you want me to continue, or if we should drop it and maybe start another stream another day? I will use the time to switch to the photos in case I want to sort them. Well, with 0 votes for at the moment, I think I will end for today, and I will show the sorting and eventually more editing at some other date. So if anybody has any questions, suggestions, comments, send them to me, please, either into the, as for the questions, ideally into the chat. As for anything, my Telegram is Farsi Photo, and yeah, the same way that it's written, the same way that my YouTube channel is called. So do not hesitate to send me any comments, suggestions, notes, and especially if there's something you would like me to show you or to explain, that would be very nice. For the moment, it has been a great hour. I hope that it was interesting for you, that you have maybe learned anything, and I will be looking forward to meeting with you on another stream. Goodbye and good night for now.